Oh, it's Aslan. Trying to make it as quick as possible. You know what I'm going to say. Have an iPhone? Have an iPad? Use the podcast app to listen to the show? Please search for Wake Up Warchant on the podcast app. You'll see two results. They look absolutely identical. But the one on the right, tap on that one. You should see it's got like over 1,000 reviews. Be sure you're subscribed and downloaded to that one. If for some reason you're having trouble downloading that feed, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Just keep doing what you're doing. We don't want to create any headaches for anybody. But again, if you're on the podcast app, search for Wake Up Warchant. You'll see two results. Hit the one on the right. Hit the music. Let's go. Showtime.
From Tally to Cali, it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. Coming up on today's show, Renegade Express. All your questions, talking Wake, big picture, small picture, a little bit of ridiculousness, all mixed in there. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, cptallybar.com. That's the website. Come hang out with Jeff Cameron and Corey Clark starting at 5:30 for their happy hour live at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. If you're not in town, check it out on Warchant TV. They'll get you ready for the game. We're doing something every single day in the lead-up. That's what we do at warchant.com. We're the ultimate Seminole sports source. It's still only $1, but only for today, I guess, right, Corey? This is the last day of it, huh? The 30th? And then it's over.
That's right. You got one more day. I think it goes to the 1st, so maybe 2 days. Maybe you got till October 1st.
Why risk it, though,
Why
Corey?
risk it? We don't know that for sure. We know for sure that today you can sign up for $1. Don't know you can do it on Saturday. And I can, if they beat Wake Forest to go to 5-0, I'm going to put it into it right then.
Yeah.
So you got about 24 hours left, maybe.
If you're in town for the game, come pregame in style at the Hotel Indigo. Doors open at 11:30 in the morning. The live show pregame, which is Warchant Game Day presented by Zaxby, starts at 12:30 with Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang. Corey might make a cameo. Ira might make a cameo. If you're in town, you don't come by and say hi to us. Rude. It's like the opposite of an Irish exit. It's like like Irish hello. Like you don't even come and say hi to us. So come on out. Hang out at the Hotel Indigo. Doors open, 11:30. Live show starts at 12:30.
I will definitely be at Corner Pocket. So if you get into town on Friday, which I assume if you're going to an afternoon game on Saturday, you'll be in town Friday evening, probably. I hope everybody that's planning on coming up can get up here safely. Come by Friday. That's it. You're guaranteed to see me then.
And once again, special thanks to all of our great listeners that hopped on the live show the other night and threw some money our way that went to the American Red Cross. All the money raised on that show went to the American Red Cross and their efforts to extend aid and relief to those affected by Hurricane Ian down there in Southwest Florida. We raised over $1,100 in about an hour. You guys are freaking awesome. We'll never take your generosity for granted. Really horrible images to wake up to on Thursday. Things not getting much better, obviously, with such catastrophic damage. But you're in our thoughts. We're hoping. I hope all the Jakes and khakis and you're in good hands, and all the geckos are heading down there to get you folks back on your feet as fast as humanly possible here. So hopefully this maybe is a little bit of relief for you. And if you're not here right now, you're not listening. We're thinking about you, and then we'll all reconvene when Florida State's like 7-0 with game day coming to town, right, Corey?
Indeed. And it's always, I've done it a few times since since I've had this living arrangement where I spend half my time up here in the Atlanta area. It's really heartening to, when I'm driving away from a hurricane, which has happened a few times, and you see just on the other side of the highway, just power truck after power truck after power truck driving into the storm, toward the storm to go help people. It's just, it makes you feel good about, they're coming from Georgia. They're probably coming from Tennessee, from South Carolina. They're being called upon to go help out their fellow countrymen. Sometimes I wish we felt about each other like that in everyday life. But you always have a good idea, that when things are going bad, Americans will put aside something to go help out fellow Americans, man. And it's always, I don't know, it just fills me a little, even when a catastrophic tragedy like Hurricane Ian was, you get heartened when you see stuff like that. All those power trucks go in the opposite direction towards the storm to go help people out. People they don't even live near. People from other states.
Run to the roar. That's true bravery, everybody.
Yep.
So we're thinking about you folks, man, and hopefully the Noles can help provide a little bit of some semblance of a hearty moment for you folks. All right, let's start Renegade Express. A lot of questions, Corey. A lot of questions.
Yep. We're flying through these bad boys.
Trying. Knowles _1. Aslan, you don't have to use the underscore. Okay. Wake up, guys. Corey, fellow Georgia guy here. I used to coach a certain high school in Gwinnett, although I'm not a native Gwinnetian. Is that what you people are?
Yeah, you said it right. Good job.
What has been your biggest hit? What you thought going into the year, and what has not played out the way you thought it would? Thank you. Keep up the great work. Go Noles. Johnny was a nice hit. I've been on Johnny for a while.
I liked that Tate did what he did against Louisville. I'm trying to think. I don't. Look, I get things wrong all the time. I don't. I can't. Well, throughout the course of my life, let's just say it's probably 2 a year that I just get something wrong. Usually, I'm right 99% of the time. But just ask my ex-wife. She would tell you that for sure, that I'm just right about everything. I can't. Is there anything that I thought would be better than it's been? Maybe the safety play, but I don't think the safety play has been bad. It just hasn't been like game changing yet. But I think those guys are good players. So other than that, I don't know. I feel like things have kind of played out the way I thought. And yeah, Johnny, I thought Johnny would be a difference maker, and he is proven to be.
But they're 4-0. You didn't predict 4-0.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I was just talking about a hit. Like he said, something you hit on. So like a prediction you had about a player or a position group, I thought is what he meant. And I don't. Yeah, I think that maybe the wide receivers been better than I thought they would be. I'll say that because I thought the wide receivers would be better, but I didn't know they would be unequivocally good. And that, so I guess that's been I guess that's something I kind of missed on.
All right, let's keep this thing moving then. Jangalang, wake up, big dog and Aslan. First off, don't listen to these guys, Corey. Sending shirtless photos to your friends is perfectly normal. If you can't send them to your friends, who can you send them to?
Exactly right. What is Aslan even on this earth for if to not receive shirtless photos of me?
Yeah, I got my haircut the other day, and my barber pulls out his phone to show me this stomach tattoo he's got, and I saw like 3 nipples, and I don't know what was going on. Felt a little bit uncomfortable.
Okay, you did not see that on me, though, thankfully.
No, I just saw 2 nipples and just chiseledness.
Yeah, right.
Secondly, great reference to one of the all-time father-son movies in Over the Top. The Kenny Loggins song has me misty thinking about the good times with my father.
Yeah.
See, was meet you halfway.
Across the sky. Yep, Robert Loggia's in that, I think. He's like the father-in-law. The wife is dying. Yeah. And old Hawk Hudson or whatever. What's his name?
Lincoln Hawk. Lincoln Hawk.
Yeah.
What
he just goes and beats the big, bald, fat guy. I guess he was very, very strong, too, there. Spoiler, gang.
Sorry.
If you haven't seen Over the Top, weirdly, Sylvester Stallone doesn't lose at the end. His character wins the final big competition.
Anywho, Noles defense going to rise up this weekend, 38-20 good guys.
That'd be something, man. That spread, 7 points. I don't know. It just seems like a lot, but clearly Vegas thinks that Florida State is better. I think Florida State is better. Doesn't mean they'll win. Yeah. I think Florida State is a better football team.
November 5th, wake up. What a weird game week. Hoping for everyone's safety. This is my first time posting since we moved to the new site.
Why'd you say November 5th?
That's the name of the person, Corey.
Oh, well, that was confusing. So I'm glad I spoke for everyone there, I think.
By the way, somebody was like, can you guys start saying the name of the person you're interviewing on your YouTube videos? I don't know who's speaking, and it's in the item description. It'll say like Jordan Travis. So be on the lookout for that, everybody.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
My old username was John Henry Jones Jr., reference to Indiana Jones. Way too awkward to say, so my new username is in reference to November 5th, 1955, where FSU beat Villanova 16-13 at Doak. This was in the midst of a 3-game winning streak over Villanova. Deal with it, Wildcats. You don't want this heat. Don't bother looking up the 57 season. Love the work that you guys do. Beat Wake. Thank you, November 5th.
Thank you very much. That was all pretty random, but I love it. I love randomness. Yeah. Quick, to the point, big winning streak over Villanova. I like it.
And their avatar used to be, I think, the Whataburger on Thomasville Road. Now it's, I think, is it LeVar Burton who was in Star Trek?
Yeah, like the one in the 80s.
Yeah,
that Star Trek. Yeah.
That's his avatar now.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Good old LeVar. I was kind of hoping I'll say that. I was kind of hoping he'd get Jeopardy. I think a lot of people were. And he did get to, like, celebrity host it, right?
I guess, yeah.
I think, but I don't think he crushed it like Blossom and, what's his name, Ken Jennings did. Don't think he quite crushed it. But I was hoping he'd get that job. Seems like a likable dude.
Gary Sinsamalia, not Sismesa. Wake up, gentlemen. Do we think Sam Hartman is the product of mastering one very unique offensive style, or do we think he would have similar success elsewhere? Also, where do I drop off my canned goods for the Wake Forest team? This is a part where we'll get some jokes in. Noel Holla, Wake Up, fellas, related post. Has anyone set up a food drive for Wake Forest yet? Curious, so I know where to send all the food that I'm taking out of a freezer that took a dump. Also, I have a generator they can rent if needed. So there's our Wake Forest punch.
Here's the thing. That kind of goes against what I was saying at the beginning of the show about how you feel good about Americans and providing relief. But understand that if Wake had just been hit by a hurricane or something like that, and I think South Carolina will be, like it's going to form back in the Atlantic and hit. It won't be as strong as it was when it hit Fort Myers, but Florida State fans would provide food for Wake Forest. I truly believe that. Just like I think Wake Forest fans, the 120 that would come down for this game would provide food, or you know what I mean? They do a canned food drive or something for a fellow conference mate. Yeah. But yes, we can make jokes now because it was a pretty ridiculous thing to say.
I think Sam Hartman could win a lot of football games at Alabama. He could probably win a national title at Alabama. I mean, he missed a game or two, or maybe just one game. He's got 13 touchdowns and 2 interceptions this season.
Yeah.
Last year he threw for 30-9. Now, his completion percentage is not great in the past. He's 64% right now. Last year he was under 59%. And I know a lot of the stuff that opens up downfield for him is a product of this very unique offense.
I don't know that he's a guy that would set the world on fire, though, at Alabama, or a more traditional type offense. I don't know how good I think he'd be good enough at a place like Florida State that runs a different offense. But I do think there are some unique aspects to this offense where he reads it, he sees it quick. He's played so much football, man. He's not going to be surprised by anything. But having that slow mesh does open up holes in a defense that Jordan Travis doesn't see. It's just a different kind of, or one-on-one opportunities downfield that maybe other quarterbacks just don't get. But let's not kill the kid. I mean, he's really good, and he certainly thrives in it. He runs it really well. I don't know that he could run another offense as well as this one, but I also don't know that he couldn't. Does that make sense?
I think he'd figure it out. I mean, again, he executes that offense at such a high level. It's not like he was born for that. It wasn't like we're going to create this offense all around this one gentleman. I mean, he's figured it out. He was the starting quarterback in 2018 when Taggart's team took him out. So he's figured it out, man. It wasn't like he hit the ground running from day one.
But then he took over in 19, right? When and he won that game in the rain in Winston-Salem against Florida State. But he was the backup quarterback. Jamie Newman was the starter, and then didn't play. And then Hartman was good enough. They had that one receiver that put up a ton of yards. I can't remember who it was, but
Dortch. Was it Dortch or was it after Dortch?
I thought it was a bigger type kid. I just can't remember. He literally he was averaging like 130 yards a game or something. But either way, it is a unique offense. But it almost doesn't even matter because he's in this offense and he's really good at it. I don't know if he's an NFL prospect though. I don't know. I don't know that I would predict him to be in the NFL for 10 years.
Looking to the future, big picture, we'll put these two together: Mobile Nole as well as Old Dad's a Nole. Also, if you're going to hold your breath to get your question read, Noles Mad 2000. Who's from Orlando, went to Dr. Phillips. We talked about this last week. He asked us, would you rather go 9-3, beat Miami and Florida, or 10-2, and those are your 2 losses? I'd rather go 9-3. Corey said he'd rather go 10-2.
Yeah, beating Clemson, going to the ACC championship game, which you would if you only had 1 loss, I think. I mean, I guess it would depend on how it plays out, but you'd have a very good chance of getting to the ACC championship game because you'll have beaten Clemson, and you'll be 7-1 in the ACC. I guess that's not true, right? Because the Miami would be a loss.
Right.
Yeah, I still think 10-2, man. That resonates. That's a big deal. You have a chance to go 11-2 after being 5-7. I still think you take the 10-2. But yeah, 9-3 with those 2 wins. I get it. I'm couching.
Yeah, we're not reading it. We read it last week. Mobile Nole, wake up. Not going to butcher my question this week. FSU has already done a lot to prove itself. But since we have not been all that great for the last 5 years, it seems like we're being downplayed in the media. If FSU beats Wake, do you think we have a legit shot at the top 10 and ACC title visit and maybe a Jordan Travis Heisman campaign? Go Noles, beat Wake, eat Zaxby's, drink the Luna. Old Dad's-a-Nole also asks, maneuvering through the schedule looks a little bit easier than we thought going to the year. Would you rather make it to the playoffs and get pummeled or have a nice season or two, then get in later on when we can match up better with the big three? So,
yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. It's not a bridge we really need to cross right now, I don't think. We'll see. We'll see what I say in November about that. But, I think it's always going to be to get in the playoffs. Look, as a Braves fan, it really stings and hurts to lose World Series and lose postseason series. It's still a lot better to get there than to not get there. You still had a better season than, like, if Florida State had gotten to the Final Four in 2020, if they had it, and then they got housed by Kentucky by 25 points, you still wouldn't say, well, I wish they'd rather have been in the Elite Eight. I wish they had gotten beaten in the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16. No, man, go. That's an accomplishment. Getting to the playoff would be a huge accomplishment, so I think you would definitely take that, even if you lose by 40 points to Alabama. Because everybody, who's going to make fun of you? Everybody loses to Alabama. But Michigan State fans, Notre Dame fans, other than Clemson and Ohio State and Georgia, everybody loses by 40 points to Alabama. Well, I guess in Texas this year.
Yeah, I was going to try to play devil's advocate, but you pretty much threw the water on that. So, yeah.
There you go.
And we kind of talked about this on the other show. Beating Wake is very important. I think you start getting some respect. But in terms of like a Heisman campaign, you start getting eyeballs on it, but it'll be full steam ahead if you go into Raleigh and you win that game. I don't know if I would say you're going to be in the top 10 if you beat Wake, but
no,
certainly ACC championship game becomes much more of a clearer picture.
Although, we'll know everything after these 3 weeks, right? These
I know,
next
but
three games.
They want to know what's going to go on after this game, though. Like, what happens?
Yeah.
What
I mean, you're not going to be top
game?
10. You're not going to be top 10 after beating Wake.
I
and
know,
nobody...
but does that mean, like, does that give you a springboard? Do you think this team is then capable of? Okay.
No. Because you still got to play at NC State and Clemson. Your two toughest games are still coming up in front of you. Losing to Wake would mean, you're probably not going to be playing for an ACC championship. But beating Wake just sets you up to give you an opportunity to then put yourself in contention to win the to win the Atlantic. But those two games, really losing to Wake, if you still go out and beat NC State, you still control everything. If you go out, I mean, you probably wouldn't expect to go out and beat NC State and Clemson if you lose to Wake this weekend. But say you lose to Wake and you beat NC State and Clemson, well, you're leading the Atlantic. So the next two games are just more important than the Wake game. And no, nobody's ever vaulted themselves into the Heisman discussion with a win over Wake Forest. Now, it can happen with back-to-back-to-back ranked wins over Wake, NC State, and Clemson. If he has magical games the next 3 games, he could at least be on the radar. I don't think he'd win it, but at least he'd start getting some he would be in conversation, or like outside the top 5, there'd be these other who's on the radar trending in the right direction, and Jordan Travis might see his name on those lists.
Yeah, I think that happens if you throw for 4 touchdowns against Wake Forest. I think some traction starts.
DJ he can't have as good a game as DJ just had, and I don't think anybody's expecting DJ to be a Heisman Trophy winner or candidate.
Yeah, but I don't think DJ looked all that sharp against Louisiana Tech or. He looked all right against Georgia Tech, I guess. Put his numbers up. Kane, wake up, fellas. First-time poster from Monroe, North Carolina, home of Jodeci.
Oh, okay.
Winner.
There we go.
Winner. We're going to pair this one up with another. Fellas, what is the number we have to hold Wake Forest to in the passing game that you'd feel comfortable making us win? And then we'll go down to our guy here that wants to talk about Adam Fuller, JP23. What do you think Adam Fuller and our defense, besides a number we have to hold Wake Forest to, have to do to win the game and provide confidence about our defense moving forward? So both sides of the coin. One wants a number, one doesn't want a number, but one's
exactly. That's tough.
Stuff.
I don't know, man. I expect them to throw for 300 yards. I don't think that kills you. They're going to move the ball and they're going to score points. I just think it's more important what they do in the running game. Going in, they're going to hit some big pass plays. They just will. But if you can somewhat hold up against the run, and that's what I would say to the next question about what does Fuller and the defense have to do. You have to be able to make them one-dimensional. Make them one-dimensional where that mesh doesn't fool anyone. It's not doing anything. Your safeties or linebackers don't have to scream up the field and open up huge holes behind them where he pulls it out and can throw it over them. If your front four can control the running game, or your front six, if you include Deloach and Bethune, if they can control the running game, I think you're going to win. So I think the bigger number is what they do running the ball, honestly, because I just go in assuming they're going to throw for 300.
He's literally thrown for over 300 yards and at least 3 touchdowns in the 3 games he's played in, Sam Hartman.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I think he threw – I don't know if he threw for 300 last year. He might have. I think so, but he threw for 2 or 3 long passes, and, I think he had 240 yards passing by halftime of that game. So that's not good.
259. Completed 71% of his passes.
Yeah. That's not great. But it's not, it's not 320. I just think that if you can make them – the only way they can move the ball is to run it. Like if it looks like LSU's running game, where they have to throw or have their quarterback scramble around and run, there's nothing there, you're going to win the game. But, you don't probably have the horses you want to have on that defensive line necessarily to make that a reality. Let's hope. Let's hope, baby.
I just don't know what – I get it, man. Adam Fuller's not overly popular with the fan base, but – I don't know. Is there some sort of exotic defense they want to see him throw at Wake Forest that's just going to stymie them, as no one's been able to do here in the last 2 years, where Sam Hartman's really kind of hit his stride?
Yeah.
So whose fault is it? I mean, if they don't have Fabian Lovett, that really alters things. And then, all right, so they do sell out to stop the run. Well, then if Sam Hartman starts throwing over the top and they make some catches, and Marion Cooper doesn't break up passes, and Renardo Green can't break up a pass and gets beat, so then it's going to be Adam Fuller's fault for selling out the run and not giving enough safety support and leaving those guys on an island. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm sticking up for Adam Fuller all the time. I don't think he's nearly as much of a liability as a lot of people have this sort of concern about him being. But they're going to have to stay disciplined. They're going to get theirs, Wake Forest. I mean, if you hold them, I know the guy didn't want a number. Man, you hold Wake Forest under 35, I think that's a win. I know that might make people kind of cringe a little bit, but they put 45 in 2 OTs against Clemson, 37 against Liberty, 45 against Vanderbilt. And I know you can be like, well, we're only going to do 2 points less than Liberty. I mean, yeah.
I was thinking 30 to 28 to 30 is what you got to hold them to, but yeah, 35 might be around the same. It's just they're going to score some points. This isn't going to be a shutout, and it's not going to be a laugher. I mean, they move the ball. This kid knows what he's doing, and they got 6'3", 6'4", 6'2" out wide. They can run, and they go make plays.
And they have an offensive line that can function. Like Boston, I know people are maybe looking at Boston College and thinking, all right, we can maybe just shut them down, take away everything.
Yeah, Wake's a different animal.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dalvinism. Wake up. Obviously, the offense much improved. Curious perspective from you guys. How much of it is attributable to Alex Atkins as offensive coordinator versus Mike Norvell calling plays? As someone who's at practice every day, how hands-on is Atkins with the entire offense versus when he was just the O-line coach?
To me, honestly, it looks the same during practice.
Correct.
He is solely focused on the offensive line, which, quite honestly, he should be. The receivers have their coach. The running backs have their coach. The quarterback has his coach, and Norvell's kind of overseeing all of it. I think what we could never answer, we could never quantify, is what it's like in the film room or in the coaches' meetings when they're devising game plans, and he is saying, look, we can't block this, or we will crush them in this respect. This guy can't play. Let's attack this person or that. We don't know. So it's hard to say. I mean, I like Norvell as a play caller. He's done a really good job, but it's hard to quantify which is a bigger reason for the success. Honestly, I would say the receivers and the elevation of play in the quarterback are as big. And I'm not trying to dismiss what they do, because I think Norvell and Atkins are very important and they're very good at their jobs when they're devising a game plan and calling plays. I just think it makes it a lot easier when your quarterback's playing at a high level and he's got guys that he trusts that he can throw to.
Well said.
So that was me. That was Corey not answering another question. So you're welcome, everyone.
It looks the same, man. It does. He's on headset. I think he's on headset, but I think he might have been on headset last year too. But yeah, the offensive line's kind of crowded around him. He's he's focusing on the offensive line, what's going on up front. He's not running up and telling Johnny Wilson, like, hey, man, you didn't put your foot in the ground and make your proper cut. Like that. Ron Dugans is still handling that stuff.
Right.
So I wonder how much of the change, like, is it tow cars? Is it addition by subtraction? Was like Kenny 2? I don't know. I feel like Kenny was in Jordan's corner the whole time. I'm waiting just to see when all these accolades start pouring in for Jordan. How many? I can't wait to see the tweets from Kenny about called it, knew it.
Well, Dilly's been a little too quiet. I know that Georgia game freaked him out, but they've been doing well since then. He should be pushing his chest out a little about one of his proteges.
Let's put these together. They're off-the-field kind of questions. Random_John, good morning, Aslan. Corey may this week find you covering a team that will be 5-0 Saturday evening. I have seen several posts on here about the deplorable state of affairs regarding concessions, long lines, running out of food, high service fees. What is your opinion on this year's concession situation versus previous years? We don't really hang. Yeah, we're the press box, so we're fed like on a whole different situation. I've never been down to concessions since I was a student,
and I haven't. I don't think I've talked to anyone that. I mean, I've talked to people that have done it. I don't remember getting any feedback. I know the lines were really long for Duquesne, but I didn't get any feedback from the one from this past Saturday against Boston College. But that's not good if it's that long. They need to try to fix that. That's not. You want people to come to these games, and you need to make it as easy as possible and as enjoyable as possible. And standing in line for 25 minutes for a watered-down Coke or something ain't the way to do it.
If things are as bad as the Depression-era breadline, will Corey ask the head of concessions a question about the situation like he asked Norvell about recruiting after starting 0-4? Maybe we'll get an impassioned speech about nachos, Wi-Fi, and no concession stand will work harder than any of the ones inside of Doak Campbell Stadium.
And they believe in their employees. They want the right people to be serving hot dogs and sodas. No, probably won't happen. But look, we are really like the last people to ask about concessions because we don't sit in that part of the stadium. You guys all have better seats than us. We're a million miles in the air, but we don't have to deal with concessions, thankfully. So I don't know what's going on there. I know Alford, it's something that means, Alford brought it up before the season that he was trying to make it a more enjoyable experience for the fans. But I guess he's not getting great reviews so far.
I mean, I've seen the thread, but I haven't clicked on it. It got a lot of replies, so obviously it's not a minority take. Yeah. Apparently it's pretty widespread.
Well, and I don't want to dismiss that. Like, you guys go to games. You pay to go to games. I don't want to be like, it doesn't matter to us. It's just I can't speak intelligently on it because I haven't experienced it.
Could have repeated. That's the name of this person. Wake up, first time posting on the news site. Helped me stay connected when I was living in Beijing. These shows are pretty long with all the questions, so let me cut the praise short, get to the question. Thank you. Other commenters cover most of the Wake Forest topics, so I want to ask a question about Florida State's long-term success. Any updates on the progress of the stadium renovations or the standalone football complex? What effect will these have on the program long-term? I think the construction projects coincide serendipitously. What's with all these big words, everybody? Come on, man. With the rise of the football program. Do you agree? Support the sponsors, eat Zaxby's, drink DeLuna, and adult beverages at the corner pocket. Go Noles.
No, I mean, they were breaking ground. The plan has been to break ground as soon as the Florida game is over. That's been the plan for months, right?
Yeah.
For the IPF, not the IPF, sorry, the football facility.
Yeah.
So as far as we know, that's still full steam ahead.
It is serendipitously timed, I think, because
it is. Yes, absolutely.
You show that, and Corey and I disagree on this. We disagree about a lot of things, but I think it is important to have these kind of facilities. I mean, the money could maybe be better spent into NIL, but I don't know if you can divert the money that way. I don't know how it all works, but I still think even if you give these kids really handsome deals, they still want like a nice sleeping pod, and they want a cool barber shop, and they want a recording studio. I mean, these things, you start coming down the margins when it comes to deciding where you're going to go to college, and you're like, all right, man, I'm going to be there for 3 years, but I'm always going to be hanging out at the facility. I'll be watching film. I'll be getting treatment. They sell them all this sort of stuff, and it's like you can either do it here in this palace, or you can go here where you got to walk there to eat your food, and you got to walk all the way over here to do that. And they consolidate all into this nice big building, and they win football games. And that really does help your recruiting. As for stadium renovations, they continue to have all the mock-ups, and I think our guy Joel Davis, who's part of the Bowden Society, like high-level part of the Bowden Society, as well as our guy Shane, was talking about just how cool they're gonna make these. I don't know when that's gonna start happening, but they want to create these, like he said, they're gonna have like a table, like this long oval table, pretty much like where the Chiefs used to be at. I guess part of the Champions Club, and you can have like this full spread, like a coffee table, and you're watching the game live outside. So that's something that they're still showing to the donors, and I think is something they want to still go ahead and do. And I don't know how much that's going to affect the long-term success, but hell, still make it more pleasant for folks to come up to games. And when you're waiting in line all that time, at least you can go back to a nice comfy seat and hang out with all your friends, like a coffee table in front of you. So that's that. All right, picking it up here, scrolling back up, getting back on track. Hugo Boss. Nice name, like that. Hi, Aslan. Hi, Corey. Wake up. First time asking a question, long time listener. You keep me entertained every morning on my way to work. All your work is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Next 3 opponents, Wake, NC State, Clemson. Percentage chance of winning each individual game. Go.
60, 40, 55.
I would say 70, 48, 58.
Okay. We're about in the same ballpark, yeah.
I should give a bit more on Clemson. What did you say? You said 60 for Clemson?
Nope. Said 60 for Wake. 55 for Clemson.
All right. That's what I mean. I'm a little more bullish on that one. Thank you for the question, Hugo Boss. Onward. Nole Dad for life. I'm writing you this as I sit without power in Central Florida. No damage, just minor tree debris. That's crazy how many people lost power. I mean, like Orlando got pounded with rain. I saw people on flotillas.
I think I saw some on Twitter that they estimated it was 25% of the entire state. This was like Thursday afternoon. 25% of the entire state was without power.
Yeesh. Yeah. Question this week from Nole Dad for life. Halfway point of the season is approaching. What do you feel is the most improved? Who do you feel? What do you feel is the most improved player and position group?
Well, receivers, and then
Jordan Travis.
That's too easy. Yes, Jordan Travis. Yep. No, we'll go with him. If you take him away,
Renardo Green.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking. Like he's been your best cornerback, and I don't think many of us thought he was. I don't think any of us were convinced in the spring that he'd still be on the roster, that he'd still be here, and now he's a starting cornerback and has been your best one so far. So yeah, him.
He feels that Jordan's most improved. The receivers as a group are light years ahead of last year.
Yes, correct.
It says, P.S. add funeral director to the list of occupations that support the show. But actually, we've had one of those before you. So
yeah, but that's cool that we have Joel Davis, but we got it's cool that we have multiples.
Yeah, it's always good to have competition. Get the best rates.
Right, exactly right. Iron sharpens iron. Everyone.
Shout out. Who said that during Monday's press conference?
Adam Fuller.
Oh, that put a big smile on my face.
Said it right to me. Yeah, it was my question.
Yeah, I mean, use your quote. It was the symmetry there was amazing.
You don't want to be that guy that uses somebody's famous quote right back at him like Adam did, but that was cool. I appreciate it. He was paying homage. It was well intentioned, I think.
Cole 4. What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Cole. I've got 2 questions. I'll keep it short and sweet. He does. He puts bullet points. I like that. 1. Will we see Jordan Travis use his legs more this game, as it seems we have not utilized them much yet?
Yes, I think so.
Any reason to that? Just hunch?
It's just time. It's time. Put it on film. It's 5th game. He's had 2 runs. I think that he's had 1 planned run. I just think, look around the country, man. All these guys are running for hundreds of yards. You got a guy that can really run. He hasn't had to yet. But I think that, he will have to here eventually, and I don't know why. I just feel like it's a hunch that it'll be this game.
I'm William Wallace right now. I'm like, hold.
Yeah.
Hold.
Right. Wait to unleash it. Unsheath it.
Yeah. The offense isn't broke, man. I like what they're doing.
I know.
Not that you were implying they are. I don't see the need to do that right now. I wish I could elaborate a little bit more, but it would violate rules, so I can't. But no.
Okay. Good.
Keep doing what you're doing, Jordan. Hashtag I am a QB. 2, my second question. Is this a matchup of the 2 best quarterbacks in the conference? Yeah.
It's close. I would say the kid at NC State, and man, maybe DJ has turned some corner. He still looks like he's got some issues, but you can't argue with the production. So maybe he's turned some sort of corner. But yeah, I think right now through 4 games, I would say yes. But Devin Leary can play. He is a good player. He has not been great so far, but we'll see how he looks against Clemson on Saturday night. By the way, they should have no rain at all. That should be a nice dry track for that game too.
Ui Ungalale's got over 1,000 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Yeah.
Devin Leary's got 9 touchdowns, 2 picks. This conference, man. This is where it's at.
I know.
Play quarterback. Come to this conference. I'll still say Sam Hartman just because previous years, I think a little bit of.
Yeah, he's got 10,000 yards passing in his career. He's right there, man. I would say right now, yes. I would again through 4 weeks, especially last week. I think they played they're the 2 best quarterbacks that played last week.
Probably Miami.
Maybe North Carolina too. That kid puts up a ton of yards and has played well, but they always do.
Yeah. I guess maybe the answer is Miami because they're, probably a little bit more passionate. But, who's more disappointed in their quarterback, Virginia or Miami? Because that Brent Armstrong kid ain't, he's.
Yeah, no, they haven't been. That Virginia offense hasn't been good at all. But I would still say Miami.
P. Berg J. Waters. Wake up. What's happening, guys? Just working, man. Recording a podcast. Longtime subscriber. I've really enjoyed listening to you guys lately with your newfound positivity. With that in mind, what are 2 positive predictions for the Wake Forest game? My family and I are driving down from West Virginia for this one. Go Noles.
Oh, nice, man. Welcome. That's cool. It's a cool trip.
Jimbo Peberg? Did you grow up around Jimbo? Brian?
Or Saban?
Family?
Or Trickett?
Yeah. I think Rich Rod, West Virginia as well. Yeah.
I would positive predictions. I think Fitzgerald's going to make a big kick. Ooh, how about that?
Okay.
I think Fitzgerald's going to make a big kick, a clutch kick, a kick that matters. I think he's going to make it. Not an extra point, but a kick.
34-34 tie. This extra point can win it.
Well, that would count, sure. But I'm going to still say it's going to be a big field goal.
All right. I think Florida State's going to put 40 points on the board. That's a pretty positive prediction.
There you go, Aslan. There you go, A-Train.
Yeah. There you go, P. Berg, Jay Waters. Shout out. Mahogany Strat. I remember on a previous episode, Corey proclaimed his love for 90s music. What 90s song would you use to describe our opponent this week? Mine, Mahogany Strat, would be Hunger Strike, Temple of the Dog.
Right. You can't put me on a spot like that and come up with a 90s song that would describe Wake Forest. He just wanted to get his joke in, which is a good joke. Yeah. I appreciate it. But I can't do better than that, so I don't even want to give it an effort.
I love it. Let's keep it moving. Noel Boyo 2. Guys, with Trey
I'll be thinking about it throughout the course of the show. I might come up with something.
Hey, Aslan and Corey, wake up. Trey Benson's kick return touchdown last week left me, Christian, pondering this question. What happens when Winston Wright gets fully healthy? Do we put him back on kick returns with Trey? What do you think? I'd like to send all my thoughts and prayers to those in the South Florida area recovering from the effects of Ian. Support the players that have merchandise or YouTube accounts, as well as the Warchant sponsors and their personalities. Go Noles.
That's very kind. Yeah,
say
probably.
It again with more sincerity, Corey.
No, it was kind. I was distracted thinking about the actual question. Yeah. But yeah, I would say he'd be back there. But again, whoever's on the left when you're kicking the ball, the returner that's on the left of the formation that you're kicking to, that's the main kick returner. Like Micah Pittman he's been back there for every kickoff so far this year. He hasn't fielded one. They always kind of hook to the left typically. So it really wouldn't matter that much. I think Trey Benson, unless something goes wrong, is the kick returner for the foreseeable future. But I think Winston Wright could be back there with him, and Pittman isn't. Maybe that's what happens when he comes back.
He says he thinks Micah does a good job blocking.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I guess I shouldn't dismiss that. Like, he is a physical guy, man. He is just a physical dude, and he did a nice job on that the kick return. So the touchdown one. So yeah, he's a physical guy that doesn't like mixing it up. I don't know that Winston Wright is one of those guys. I think Winston Wright's the guy that catches the ball. He's not usually one of the, essentially a glorified up back. So, maybe you keep it with Micah Pittman. That's a good point.
It's winning season over at mybookie.ag. You can win a dollar for dollar instant bonus when you use the promo code WARCHANT on your first deposit when you set up an account over at mybookie.ag. Lots to bet on, single games, propositions, and parlays. I offered a parlay to the people yesterday, Corey. I took your Arkansas, Alabama. Although it was 16.5, and I know you were married to the 17, the plus 17. So I gave you a little bit of an out. Florida State still 7-point favorite. The over-under is now at 64. Incredible. It's incredible. I think also if you want to maybe swap out something for our South Alabama Jaguars in your parlay, feel free to do that. I will not begrudge you folks we're going to keep around them. They're 4-0. I forgot what the third game was in the parlay I gave to the people. But I liked it, though. I liked it. Hopefully you guys heed. It's all for entertainment purposes, obviously.
Of course.
But, maybe heed it, enjoy it, see how it goes. A&M, 4-point dog at Mississippi State, Corey. Thoughts?
Man, I don't trust Mike Leach to beat Jimbo Fisher. Look,
year.
man.
I think he did.
I think the game is. I think it's going to be 20-15 or some game like that.
Okay.
Mississippi State didn't fill me with a lot of enthusiasm or optimism the way they played at LSU. I know they'll be at home with those stupid cowbells, and we know that Texas A&M's not going to put a lot of points on the board, but they have a very good defense. And so, you hold Mississippi State to 14, you win 17-14. That's kind of their MO.
45's the over-under, so kids, looks like
take the under, baby.
Corey
Take
says
the under.
Take the under. And take us to the break. It's mybookie.ag. Use the promo code WARCHANT. Double your deposit. My truth, wake up. Or rather, expletive, wake up. Since Lucas, I think that means Dante Lucas, decided to redirect his efforts, we have not been a team with a sense of nasty to it. Generally, that usually comes from the defensive side of the ball, but this offense has been the one delivering the hits when they're on the field. Is Wake Forest a bit susceptible to being out-hit despite their outstanding coaching and length of service?
I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah, they're susceptible to it. I guess that's a hard one to answer. I think all football teams are susceptible to it. I do think that the way Florida State plays, but man, they really do rally to the ball and play hard on defense too. Let's not take anything away from that. But the way that Trey Benson and Micah Pittman were just slamming into guys, I can promise you it got Wake's defense's attention. Now we'll see if they handle it better than the BC defense did.
Yeah, I mean, I used to think of Wake as like a soft team. I don't necessarily think of them as being like some warrior team, but they're not soft.
No.
But but I'm sure every team has gone to every game against Wake Forest, but like, let's make that guy feel us. Let's make that quarterback feel us on that handoff. And he's pretty fearless. So, if Robert Cooper wants to take him to the ground, that might change his tune. So, we'll see. Jocko_Nole_Truitt. What's up, my guys? Really enjoy listening to you guys every morning to start my day off at the gym. Feel like staying updated and listening to FSU football talk pumps me up more than a music playlist right now.
Ooh, there you go.
I'm on the board with majority of you guys.
You listen to podcasts when you work out, Aslan, or you go with music?
I'm a music guy.
Me too, I think. Yeah. But I'm glad that we could be there for people, though. That's cool.
Come on, one more rep.
Come on, man.
More.
Quit being a baby. Let's go. Let's go. You got this.
One point I've not heard mentioned, but maybe once through all the War Chant shows, Sunday Smash, Jeff Cameron headlines, is how crucial one or two turnovers could be in opening a comfortable lead this weekend. Some people think this will be a blowout. Others don't. I feel the ultimate deciding factor is who turns the ball over the most, even if it's one more than the other. Would you agree?
I kind of tend to always agree on that. Now, it doesn't always play out that way. Like, I think Florida State had I was going to say they had more turnovers than LSU, but they didn't.
Well, those muff punts, buddy.
Yeah, those muff punts that they did absolutely nothing with. Turnovers are turnover luck, injury luck, and I don't even like the term turnover luck. So because some of it is not luck. It's not like bad luck that Jameis threw 31 interceptions in the NFL one year.
Whoa,
It was.
man.
Well, I'm just saying is that turnover luck or is it bad quarterbacking?
I know.
So you can pressure a quarterback into making rushed throws into coverage. That's not luck. Injury luck is luck, and they've been on the wrong side of that here early on. But yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think turnovers are always a key. They're always a big, especially if there's a big disparity. If it's like 4-1 or 3-0, you're typically in a kind of an even game. You were going to lose those games. And if you win the turnover battle comfortably and you're a better team, you should win by 17 or 21 points.
Do you factor in turnover on downs when you talk about that?
Yeah, I think so. Right. I mean, I know they don't technically count as turnovers, but yeah, if you get a turnover on downs around midfield, that's like what's the difference between that and picking off the third down pass?
Yeah, I haven't mentioned it because it's one of those. It feels kind of cliche, maybe a little bit unspoken at this point. Turnover. Winning the margin on the turnover side of things. But just with the way this offense is functioning right now, and the way I think this game is going to go back and forth, I just don't think it's going to come down to a turnover. I mean, that's just my opinion on things.
It would be multiple turnovers, bad multiple turnovers, like either going in to score a touchdown or deep in your own territory that can change a game.
Okay. More so than going for it on fourth down and not working out.
Well, yeah. Yep.
Tennis ump. FSU leading the league in rushing. How much do you think we rely on that? Seems that we should be able to have a lot of success that way with the added benefit of keeping a really good quarterback off the field. Thoughts? Thanks as always, guys.
Yeah. I mean, Florida State's good at running the ball. They have 3 good running backs. They have the quarterback that we've talked about that hasn't even been unleashed yet in the running game. Wake
Forest is allowing 141 yards, 68th in rush defense this year.
Yeah, not great. And so I think that when you look at this game, it's going to be really fascinating to me to see how Wake plays it. Like, are they buying the Jordan Travis hype and like, we can't let this kid beat us with his arm? Or are they still? Do you still, as a defensive coordinator, have to view this Florida State offense as we got to stop the run first? Because it certainly seemed like that was LSU's MO, that was Louisville's MO. That's why Jordan Travis started 11 for 11. Like, they were dead set on making sure Florida State can't have a great running attack because of what that happened last year, and because they see that they have 3 good running backs and a athletic quarterback. So I wonder if he keeps on playing like this and putting up 300 yards and kind of riddling secondaries with his right arm, if that changes a little bit and it becomes a little, because it wasn't always easy against Boston College. Now, like they did a good job for the most part shutting down the run. They just, you keep hitting them, and eventually Trayshawn busted one and Trey Benson busted one. But I'll be really interested to see if Wake believes it yet, because I would think Wake would still come into this game. First priority is stopping the run, making sure Florida State doesn't run for 300 yards. Because they run for 300 yards, that's a wrap. They're winning this game comfortably. I think you still try to stop the run, but man, Florida State now has the ability to beat you when you do that.
Yeah, I mean it feels like a pick your poison kind of thing. And I remember you and I were in the group chat about the Clemson Wake Forest.
There you go. That's a 90s song, Aslan. No, yeah, Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Is that your
How
song?
about that? Is that 90s, right?
80. I think it's like late 80s. 89, 88.
I thought it was like 90, 91. It's right there on the cusp.
Yeah,
so.
It's always tough. I just don't know what their edge situation looks like coming off the edge, Wake Forest. Again, Florida State's offense now is to the point where you have to be able to play them straight up and you have to win those matchups. You have to be able to get to Jordan Travis with 4 dudes and 4 dudes only, cover your rear end on the back end, and bring him down, or at least flush him out of the pocket where he's throwing the ball away, as opposed to letting him escape and then making a crazy throw after 6 seconds, because no one can cover for that long. So I think in that regard, they're certainly going to. I don't know, man. I think Dave Dorn, when he says, I saw this team on film, they're completely different than they were last year. Without any disrespect to anybody else on this roster, I think it's that quarterback and the way he's playing. Yeah. And they're seeing that he's pretty indefensible right now. I think,
and it should make you feel good going into it that the last 2 games in regulation, Wake has given up 37 points to Liberty and 38 points to Clemson, right? Wasn't it 38-38 going to overtime?
Yeah, sounds right.
And I think this Florida State offense is better than both those offenses, and I think your quarterback is playing even better than those 2 quarterbacks. I don't even know who Liberty's is. But I think you have a better quarterback than those two teams, and I think your offense as a whole is better than those two teams. They played at home in both those games, and they still gave up 38. Like, Aslan's right. They're unless something goes wrong, there really is no reason Florida State's not high 30s and are into the 40s in this game.
Especially because they're banged up too, Wake Forest, in the secondary especially. So, I mean, I think
are they? They got guys out, or are they just banged up?
I think they had like an all-ACC cornerback, if I'm not mistaken. I think Clark, no relation.
Right.
Didn't play the Clemson game. So, I mean, I don't know if maybe, if you're going to sell out the Clemson game, you're probably selling out the Florida State game, although maybe it was like a one-week thing. I'll see if I can maybe look up the injury report. We'll ask the next question here. We'll keep it Wake-related. Bama Nole 80. I don't have underscores, but if I did, you could sound them out as grunt noises. Bama, Nole, 80. All right. Mesh point run game of Wake Forest is aggravating and unusual in the sense that we don't face it much, but they're ranked 104th in the country. This is true. They are.
In what? Rushing?
Running the ball. Yeah, they're averaging one, which is crazy. 123 yards rushing doesn't sound bad, but it's 104th in the nation. Why put so much stock in their run game? Take away the passing game as best we can, force them to run. And without bringing 5 to 7 guys every rush attempt to stuff the run, you take away the need for them to wait out the pressure before they run. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks for all the great content. God bless those dealing with hurricane recovery.
Yeah, it's a fair point and a good point. Like I think that you just don't want to give up easy touchdowns, man. You don't want to just let a guy get loose for a 70-yard throw over the top, which happened against them last year, or a 60-yard gain. They are not going to have a lot of 50, 40-yard runs on you with this offense. They are not great running the ball, but it's easier said than done because it's so goofy. It's just goofy. You see a quarterback and a running back basically in a warm embrace for 2.5 seconds. It's not what you're used to seeing. So there is just the human element of like, okay, they're running the ball. They have to be running the ball. What are they doing? I've got to go up there and stop this madness. And then they hit you over the top. So if you can be disciplined, and like I said, if you can, the only worry you have is, if you take the pass away to the point that they're running for 8 yards a clip, or 12 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards, and they're always in front of the chains, that can be a little dicey. So your interior's got to play well, man. Those linebackers have to read it quickly. It does help that I think you got good linebackers that have played a lot of football and can diagnose things quick. But this is unlike anything. Tatum Bethune's never seen this. I don't know that Deloach would have played against much, and I guess he did play against it last year. Not well. Nobody on that defense did. But yeah, you got to hope your linebackers play well, man. But yes, if I was the DC, I'd be like, and we talked about it, right, Aslan, when we texted about it. We were watching the Clemson Wake game. Is like, I can't believe the Clemson DC just keeps keeping his corners one-on-one as if he's worried about the running game.
Law of averages, Corey. They can't keep doing this. They cannot possibly keep doing this.
Yeah, so like they finally I think he made some adjustments. It got a little harder for them later in the game. But it's like, I think you'd be like, okay, yeah, if y'all want to run the ball, because we know y'all don't want to run the ball. We know you want to throw it up to your big, fun wide receivers and use your quarterback's right arm. We know that you just want this mesh to confuse, but you're going to pull it out and throw it. That's what everything's based on. So, no, go ahead and run the ball and see if you get bored with it. See if you're okay with a 12-play, 55-yard drive that takes 4.5 minutes off the clock, and now you got a 3rd and 7 at the Florida State 19. Stuff like that. I think that's something that's part of the chess game that they'll be doing. But if you can control the running game and don't worry, you hopefully will be okay. But Clemson couldn't, and Clemson's got a better defensive line than you. So
Malik Mustafa, their safety, had a separated shoulder. He sustained.
He's number 3, right? Yeah, he came back in that game, I think. Okay. Yeah, he went to the locker room in the middle of that game and then came back and played at the end. It was making plays, but I don't know if if that's something they would have him play this week too, because he's a really big important piece for them.
Yeah. The name was Carson, Kalen Carson, their top cornerback, hurt his leg against Liberty. Did not return the Liberty game. Did not play against Clemson. Kobe Davis, who started the season at nickelback, also hurt himself. He hurt himself against Vanderbilt. He's out for the year. His replacement, Brendan Harris, also was injured in the Liberty game. He was week to week. He did not play against Clemson either. And then you add Mustafa on top of that. So
yeah, I mean and that's the thing. I'm glad we do this sometimes because we view this team in such a vacuum, like it's just awful. You might be without your two really good defensive linemen. Well, every team you play is missing somebody probably at this point of the season, and probably somebody really important.
Yeah, Louisville was without their best defensive tackle, and then through the course of the game, they lost one of their defensive ends. Yeah. I think in the third or fourth quarter, like one of their better rush guys. So, yeah, it's not just us. I assure you. Josh Storms isn't doing something crazy that is afflicting all this sort of damage on the team. It happens, man. It's a rough sport played by tough dudes. They'll be out there.
Do you think Wake? How long do you think is the longest they've held the mesh in a real live football play?
Like
a yard and a half behind the line of scrimmage. I bet they would do it. I think it would be fun to just like let them do not move. Do not move and see if they'll do it for 6 seconds, 12 seconds.
I know, but there's receivers running down the field though, right, Corey?
Well, you're moving with them, but the linebackers aren't screaming up. The safeties aren't screaming up. You're still backing it up and see if they'll. Even your defensive linemen just stand up and kind of stand there. Don't even try to back up a little bit. Try not to get blocked. And see if they'll do it for 8 seconds. Goofy ass offense. Hey, it's good though, man. I didn't remember this either. Wake started out last season 8-0.
Yeah. Man,
that dude can really coach. Really coach. He said some kind of off the wall things this week, but he can really coach, man.
Yeah, which by the way, I did not listen to him talk about comparing Florida State, Tallahassee to Vanderbilt in terms of attendance. And then I think he also says something about
what's your job, Aslan? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you listen? It's a minute clip.
I don't know because I'm not. This stuff doesn't fuel me, man. I don't care what Dave Clawson says about Florida State. I just don't, man. I really care about whether his team is healthy or not, who they have prepared and ready to play the game.
The context he used, and I think he said it on Wednesday, the context is obviously about the hurricane. He said, look, they canceled classes, which you could argue was pretty dumb. They canceled homecoming festivities, which now you could also argue is pretty dumb. But I get it. There's maybe a lot of people in the central part of the state that can't come up. Canceling classes was something different. So his point was, he's like, we love playing in that atmosphere. We love that stadium. The way the scene before the game is really fun. Our players.
He says something about Renegade also, the guy that throws the thing down and it blows up.
Yeah, well, right, sure.
Which I don't know, is that offensive? Like he's supposed to, like
No, it was the Vanderbilt thing. He's like, it might be the crowd might be less than it was at Vanderbilt because the thought being nobody can get to the game. The students have all left. There's not going to be a big crowd, which he seemed kind of disappointed that he wanted a big crowd because he wants his team to play in an environment like that. He says that they like playing in those environments, which we'll see because it'll certainly be a bigger crowd than Vanderbilt was. But again, he said this on Wednesday, thinking that not knowing where the hurricane was going to go, if it was going to be rainy and awful weather, because he even said he's like, but who knows? It might be sunny and 80 for the next 3 days. Which
didn't he say something though about after he said the Vanderbilt? I would be shocked.
Yes, he did.
So he doesn't think it's going to be.
Yes, but again, that was Wednesday. But he hasn't really seemed to have a great finger on the pulse of anything that was going on in Tallahassee in regards to that hurricane. But yeah, man, it's not going to be. He even said they have a sold-out crowd for Boston College. It was great. He wasn't ripping the fans.
I know,
he
that's
was
why
thinking,
I'm not going to get upset about it.
Yeah, no, but that was the context. But again, come on, man, it's not going to be less than Vanderbilt, and you will have food.
All right, Noel 2019. This is a interesting one to segue to. Hello, first-time poster. Love the pod. Originally from Rochester Hills, Michigan, but I lived in Florida for over a decade now. According to Wikipedia, Rochester Hills, Michigan. Number of notable people, but they all seem pretty niche. Niche.
Either way, it all works.
We can't answer this question. You're going to get me in trouble, Noel 2019. My question: Is our fan base overly sensitive with the victim complex? There's been so many threads these past few weeks complaining about this or that, and it's been so annoying to see. We've been garbage for the past 5 years. Keep winning, everything will sort itself out. Not everyone is out to get us or keep us down. Thoughts? I might have
take that, Aslan.
That might be my burner account.
Yeah.
I agree with it, man. I like the anti-ESPN. They're all bringing us down. They do this. They don't show us enough on one shining moment when Florida State makes it. They only showed 1.3 seconds of us. Everybody else got 1.9 seconds. What's the deal? I don't get it. I really don't even think when I was 18 years old I had that sort of animosity and that belief. But then maybe a lot of this is post-Jameis traumatic disorder, where a lot of fans kind of came on after that or dealt with that firsthand, and that's kind of affected the prism. I don't think Florida State's disrespecting the polls. I would have been. I think they should have probably been ranked after Louisville. I wasn't upset though. I wasn't like, well, this is we're getting hosed. Man, I think this team is really good right now. That's all I care about. How this team is performing. That's the stuff that I'd like to be ranked. That'd be cool. The higher you're ranked, this stuff helps out when you want to create some sort of campaign to sneak yourself into the playoff, maybe, if you're in that position. That stuff does matter. I'm more worried about how they look on the field, man. They look really good right now. It's exciting. I'm not going to let anything else really deter me from feeling that way right now. Speaking as a fan, take my fan hat off. What about you, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Jameis thing had a lot to do with, and all that entailed, because it wasn't just Jameis. It was stories about BB gun wars and all this other stuff that happened throughout that. There was, the New York Times wrote a story about Jimbo Fisher's call-in show and how nobody ever brought up Jameis, and cops, Tallahassee cops working in the parking, in the parking lots during games and working games, as if that doesn't happen in every college town in the country. Cops get off-duty jobs doing that kind of stuff. That always happens. It doesn't mean they're going to turn their back on violent crimes. Just ask Willie, every player that Willie Meggs arrested. But I mean, anyway, we won't get into that. That's 8 years ago. But yeah, I think that it comes from that, man. You bristle at that if you deal with it long enough. But this stuff that's happened here this year, I don't know, man. I don't think you can just dismiss it and say, no, man, you guys are just too sensitive. I lived through it. It was ridiculous. And I'm not a sensitive person. And I'm a pretty pragmatic person. I know what was ridiculous and what isn't. And it was ridiculous, especially compared to stuff that was going on in the NFL. And how that shit's complete. Nobody cared about some stuff. And I'll say the guy's name. I'm positive Colin Kaepernick was accused of sexual assault while he was the starting quarterback with the San Francisco 49ers. That got 1/50th the coverage of the quarterback that played for Florida State football. Why is that? So
really?
I think, absolutely. So I think there's some reasoning there. We might want to go back and look that up. We might have to bleep that out. We'll see. But there is some rationality to some irrational takes now 7 or 8 years later. But it can be based in, it can be both. You can be paranoid, and they can be out to get you. Both can be true. This year, though, I haven't really seen it. I don't know that maybe they probably should have been ranked after Louisville. I think that's more of an anti-ACC bias than an anti-Florida State bias. And then if they beat Wake and only move up a spot or two, I think it's the same thing. But Clemson's the only team that anybody cares about in this conference. As far as if you beat them, you get ranked accordingly. They're treated like an SEC team. But yeah, it is what it is. And look, I think every fan base is sensitive. I think every fan base, and Florida State fans would laugh at this, but I know Florida fans think that the media's out to get them. Some of those fans do. Alabama fans have said it, if you can believe it. I mean, they're fanatics. It's fanatic for a reason. So everybody thinks their program is getting picked on from time to time.
Yeah, 2014 case was dropped though.
So was Jameis's.
I don't even remember that. I do not even.
Yeah, I know. That. Why would you? Why would you? He was only the starting quarterback for a team that was playing for the going to the Super Bowl.
I'm a Niners fan. That's the thing. I don't even remember that.
Yeah, that's weird, right?
Do
you remember the thing about Jameis though?
Yeah,
that was covered a little bit, right? Wasn't Schleybaugh living in Tallahassee? All right.
I mean, what do you want them to do, though? I mean, this kid is like a Heisman candidate for the number one team in the country.
The other kid is a starting quarterback in the $10 billion industry that they're playing for a Super Bowl. Like, that's a pretty big deal, right? It wasn't a backup kicker for the Packers. It was a starting quarterback. So why the difference in the coverage? That was all I wondered at the time. And when Colin Kaepernick played, it was never brought up. they didn't have to go on to their sideline reporter and bring it up and say, hey, he had these charges against him, but he denies it and he's moving on with this. That just wasn't brought up. But the Florida State kid, it was brought up literally every day or every week. That's all.
Yeah, they're two different. I mean, that is obviously valid. Like, I am not debating the Jameis stuff was probably a bit beyond the pale. When, you got the New York Times camping out, and we're talking about filling up, ketchup cups at Burger King with soda. How dare you? That's ridiculous. I mean, the stuff right now, though, he's talking about, the past few weeks, people complaining about this and that. Sure. And I would never, being upset about being ranked, even honestly, the stuff that Clausen's doing. I think some fans are just looking to be offended. We need the chip on the shoulder, man. We need someone on the
Which is fine, man.
Board.
Do it. And I hope that means that all you people that are offended by it show up at Doak on Saturday. If Clausen wants his team to experience a big-time atmosphere, give them one.
Let him feel it. Let him feel it. All right.
Let him feel what Jerkovich had to feel, baby. That kid's never going to be the same.
We got sloppy. Let's see if we can get through the rest of these.
Oh, man, we got about 7 minutes, buddy. That is my drop-dead time. Let's roll. We have answered 25 of these. I've been short as I've ever been.
Well, yeah, kind of. There was a moment, though. You took a minute and a half when I was like, we're not going to read this question. We answered it last week, and then you answered it again for like a minute.
But in my soliloquy just now gave you time to look up the Kaepernick stuff. So we worked together, man. We worked. It's like peanut butter and jelly.
Well, no, the 2 questions ago when I was able to look up the entire Wake Forest injury report, that was awesome. That was
that, man. That's what I'm here for.
Busby for Heisman. Aslan, I see you prefer straightforward questions over creative and clever. Hopefully this is more to your liking. Is FSU good? Will FSU score a touchdown? Will FSU win the foosball game? And if a punter punts the ball with his left foot, then his right foot the next time, is that called a Papuchas punt? Could have been repeated. We already read his question. XDQ004, wake up. It's our guy Derek. Before the season started, I called it 5-0 start on the Renier Express with one more win to secure my prophecy. Knowing the potency of the Wake Forest offense, what numbers do we need to hold Sam Hartman to? I should have packaged this with the other ones to get the W. Don't let him throw for 400. Don't let him throw for 5 touchdowns.
There you go. I agree with both those. Go into it assuming he's going to throw for 300 and they're going to score 4 touchdowns. Yeah. Whether he throws for all 4 or he hands them off for 2 of them, go into the game thinking they're going to, because they do it against everyone. So go into the game, think they're going to score 4 touchdowns. Now, they have not been in a tough road environment. I looked it up, by the way. Vanderbilt, 24,000 were at that game.
And there wasn't. I saw that crowd. It was
probably 17, 14,000, something like that. Yeah, I can promise you, Dave, there will be more Florida State fans that were at the Vanderbilt game. He even said, I had some people down in Florida that wanted tickets. And then I asked them this week, and they're like, no, we're good. Laughing about it. Who's going to want to come to this game? All right, Dave, well, we'll see, won't we?
I feel like you're not even going to go to Norvell's press conference because you're going to want to go to Clausen's press conference after.
I do.
You'll be like, hey man, you were able to see how many people in the crowd? You good at guessing how many gumballs are in the jar, Dave?
Yeah, was it more or less than Vanderbilt? Just eyeballing. What'd you think?
Redneck Noel from Taylor County. Hello, guys. If we win all 3 of these next games, I say we go to the playoffs. What say you?
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Wouldn't you think? I mean, you'd be 7-0 and you'd beaten all the teams that you needed to beat. I mean, you could still technically lose a game, just one, and still have a chance. Although you're the ACC, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt unless you have an orange paw on your helmet right now. But you would have beaten Clemson, and if you win these games, all the rest aren't as hard as these next 3. And if you win the ACC, you got a real good shot at it. Why not? Start dreaming.
Yeah, if you lose a game, it can't be the conference title game because that'll give them the excuse. But right now, man, there's no undefeated teams in the Big 12. And the Big 12 is probably going to even get messier. Like Baylor lost, Texas lost, Oklahoma lost, K-State. I mean, Kansas, I don't know, watch out. Maybe the Jayhawks are finally back.
Yeah, they're undefeated. What are you talking about?
So, what I'm talking about, the teams you would imagine. I think Oklahoma State might still be – I don't know if Oklahoma State –
Yeah, I think they've snuck into the top 10 again.
Yeah, so but – you're figuring they're going to knock each other off somewhere down the line. So, rather, Clemson's undefeated right now. NC State, although they'll sell that soon enough. Florida State, they win these next 3 games. Absolutely, I will book the non-refundable hotel in Phoenix.
Amen.
And watch us
Amen.
end up going to the other playoff game, wherever it's at. Maybe not the Orange Bowl. Maybe Cotton Bowl. Maybe Sugar Bowl? I don't know.
I haven't allowed myself to look it up yet.
Well, I'm going to look it up after I ask this question. Island Chief, wake up. So refreshing to listen to the head coach update the fans and media on his team and not hear a bunch of jibber-jabber like we've had to do the past 7 years or so, no one in particular. I like Jimbo's press conferences, but to each their own. Norvell's a great communicator. He evaluates talent well, recruits hard, schemes up plays, calls a decent game. But most of all, I think he believes in what he is doing and is passionate. What do you guys think? Is his strength scheme or culture? 37.5 points per game. I think that goes up this week. Agreed.
Man, wouldn't that be? Yeah, you do too. Do you agree with that? I think I don't know about culture and scheme and all that, but I like what's more important. Well, culture clearly is, but we talk so much about it. I don't even want to hear myself talk about it anymore. But that was a good point about belief, buddy. Norvell believes in what he's doing. Yeah. You feel it; it emanates off him, and that is something that And I'm not saying that Jimbo and Willie didn't necessarily, but this guy believes in every ounce of his being what he's doing. Now, does it work and he becomes a national championship coach here at Florida State? We'll see. The jury's still not close to deciding that. But, man, when you're around him and he talks and he gets in that steely-eyed, kind of glaring at you, passionate, almost like spittle coming out of his mouth because he's so fired up, he believes in what he does, how to build a program. He believes in his vision. And that's a big deal, man. You can tell when somebody's fake or they don't really believe in what they're saying. My man believes exactly what he's doing. And that goes a long way, I think, when you're trying to coach. I think that's a really big, important aspect that we never talk about. We talk about culture, and that's a great way to build culture. But I think believing in what you're doing, and it's unmistakable how much he believes in what he's doing. That has to feel that just by osmosis, the program has to feed off that.
I've said it numerous times on the show. I saw I don't know if it's a quote, but I saw this one time a few years ago, and it resonated with me. And it was, people don't, because I just don't really like authority all that much. Just, I don't know what happened, something. My parents didn't lay down the hammer hard enough or whatever. I've just never been that big fan of authority. And I saw this quote one time or whatever about people don't mind being told what to do as long as the people telling them what to do know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I think that goes to your point about him being passionate, believing in what he's doing. It's like, all right, man, we believe you, man. You know what you're talking about as players. Because listen, man, in practice, I laugh because I feel bad for defensive coordinators, all defensive coordinators, not just the ones that play Florida State. But man, he does, and this goes maybe to more of the scheme thing. The culture is probably more important. But man, every play it seems like somebody's wide open. And it's like, you're the defense. You see these guys every day. How do you not know? If they get confused, how do you expect Wake Forest or NC State or Clemson to keep up with this team for 60 full minutes? And that's what's really been kind of crazy to me, is just seeing the amount of, and I'm not hopefully I'm not diminishing Jordan at all. I think Jordan's been absolutely phenomenal. But man, they create so many just, easy look, wide open, it's there for you. And I don't think I mentioned it earlier in a show last week, and we need to go. You're probably hitting your drop dead time here.
I was going to say I should have been looking up something this whole time.
All right. Trent Dilfer mentioned, as a quarterback, you drop back 35 times a game. You really only have to play quarterback 10 snaps. Aaron Rodgers is only asked to play quarterback 10 snaps. The rest of it should be kind of drawn up so he doesn't have to really think all that hard and things are there for him. I think Mike Norvell does a really good job of that. There's so many plays that are just, man, it's there. We've put the stress on them. We've set this up. It is there for the taking. You don't even have to think about it. Go for it. And so that's huge. That's really cool. I don't even think Jimbo's been able to replicate that with anybody other than Jameis. So I appreciate it. All right, we're done, Corey. We made it.
We did it, man. Good job, Aslan.
All right,
appreciate all. That was great show, great week.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see all you guys tonight at Corner Pocket for the big happy hour. Then obviously Saturday when you have a better than Vanderbilt crowd show up at Doak Campbell Stadium.
Which, by the way, on Thursday evening, Michael Alford released another statement saying that the game is still on, so we should probably maybe.
Well, not only that, he also said that anybody that had been impacted by Hurricane Ian and had moved or been displaced and can prove it, well, I guess with a driver's license, could get up to possibly 4 tickets to the game.
Oh, no.
Yeah, yep. If you go to the ticket office, I think it's the baseball ticket office. I think it says you go look and find the statement on Twitter or the website or on our website. It's all there. But yeah, they're offering tickets to displaced families and fans that happen to be in Tallahassee or are relocated to the Panhandle if they want to come over and watch some football.
All right. So, okay, guys. So you can't, your ID can't say that you're from Monticello and get it for free.
I wouldn't think, but I don't know. I don't know how, are they going to care? I don't know. I think in his statement, it just said a Florida driver's license. So technically, if you live on, I don't know, man, Magnolia Street or Tennessee, just see if they'll let you just go to the game.
Take that, Dave Clawson.
Man, they don't do that kind of stuff in Nashville. This could be a whole different animal your team's dealing with.
Michael Alford's going to plant the spear. Osso's going to hand it to him. He's going to be like, what?
Yeah.
Look at all these people. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks so much for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. As Corey said, he'll be hanging out live happy hour 5:30 at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Jeff Cameron Show 1 to 3 o'clock. Have a great one. Go Noles.